This episode is brought to you by Hill's Pet Nutrition. Every shelter pet deserves a second chance, and you're making it possible for thousands of them every day. Because when you feed your pet Hill's, you help feed a shelter pet, which helps make them healthy, happy, and more adoptable, changing their life forever. So they can change yours. Over 15 million shelter pets fed and adopted. Science did that. Visit hillspet.com/podcast to learn more.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network. You can follow us on our YouTube channel as well at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined occasionally by my football gurus, Paul and Ian. Let's get to it. What's going on, Ram fans? The focus of this episode is I am ranking the best Rams playoff wins over their history, and I'm sneaking in one that should have been on that list, but it got away. That's coming up here in a second, as shared on the YouTube channel. Before we do that, it's episode 649, so let's talk about a player who wore number 49, cornerback Rod Perry. Remember some of those great LA Ram teams, late 70s and early 80s. He's a second straight player we have highlighted that came out of Fresno, California, episode 648. We talked about Hall of Famer Les Richter. So Perry, out of Fresno, plays college ball at Colorado, and the Rams selected him in the fourth round of the 1975 draft. Played 8 years for the Rams, 1975 to 1982, and then finished up his career 2 years with the Browns. Finished his Rams career with 28 interceptions and 4 pick sixes. And is he the all-time leader in pick sixes for the Los Angeles Rams? He is not. Leroy Irvin and Eddie Meter both have 5. Perry's in a pretty nice group with 4 pick sixes. Nolan Cromwell, Johnny Johnson, Jack Pardee, and our Rod Perry. 2-time Pro Bowler. And he was a part of that iconic play in the Super Bowl against the Steelers. Pittsburgh's Terry Bradshaw throws the ball deep to John Stallworth. Perry leaps to try to deflect it, tip it away, misses by a hair, and it's a 73-yard scoring play for John Stallworth and the Steelers. Rod Perry, number 49 for our Los Angeles Rams. You know, with the Eagles taking care of the Commanders so easily in the NFC Championship game, it got me thinking, this is going to be a little bit painful to talk about, what could have been had the Rams been able to close the deal in Philadelphia. Oh, they were so close, thought they had it. How would have that game stacked up against other great Rams playoff games? So I thought it'd be a good time to talk about that. Let's talk about the greatest Rams playoff games, and I'm not going to do a top 10. I think I actually have 12. I found 12 games that are worth talking about, and I'm really starting to think, based on what we saw from the Commanders, had the Rams closed that deal, man, this is just going to make it hurt all the more, I guess. Had they been able to finish that deal, close out that game with a great come-from-behind win, my guess is they would have came home, taken care of the Commanders based on what we saw from the Commanders. I think the Rams would have beat Washington. You never know, but I think they would have, and they would be headed to the Super Bowl to take on the Chiefs. But hey, didn't happen, but we can still talk about great Rams playoff wins. Good time of year to do it. And I'm going to include the Rams loss to the Eagles, where that would have fit in had they won that game. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with the 12th greatest Rams playoff win ever, and that's a fairly recent one. Hey, let's get into it. So let's start with my number 12 game, January 9th, 2021, wild card round, the Rams at the Seahawks, and I'm calling this the Terry Bradshaw game. John Wolford's getting the start for the Rams, and Terry Bradshaw in the pregame said something to the effect of, the Rams got no shot going up to Seattle, It's going to take a miracle for the Rams to win this game, and I think he bet one of his racehorses that it would not happen. Silly, silly man, and sure enough, the Rams pull off the win. Rams 30, Seahawks 20. This is the game where DK Metcalf was upset not getting targeted, and sure enough, the next series, Rams must have been watching that sideline, seeing how Metcalf was upset, and Darius Williams, sitting on a little screen pass, jumps up and grabs it right in front of DK Metcalf and races for the touchdown. And this is a game where Jared Goff actually had to get inserted into the game for John Wolford. Wolford got hurt himself early in the game, and the Rams pull off the big win, 30-20, and advance to the divisional round where they lost, but still pretty big game. Exciting win for our Rams. That's number 12. Number 11, January 13th, 2025, another wild card round game. And I didn't know what to call this. Let's just call it the City on Fire game. Yeah, just a few weeks ago. Los Angeles reeling from fires, especially in Altadena and the Pacific Palisades. The Rams game is moved to Arizona, and the Rams come through with a big win, 27-9 over the Vikings. Could also call this the coming out party for the Rams defensive front. 9 sacks in the game, 5 of them by rookies, and the Rams advance to the divisional round game. Number 10 on my list, January 7th, 1990, NFC divisional round. Rams 19, Giants 13 in overtime. I'm calling this the flipper game. Flipper Anderson, with John Madden and Pat Summerall on the call, takes the game-winning touchdown pass and just continues right into the tunnel, back to the locker room, and the Rams advance to the NFC Championship game. That was a really exciting game, and I remember that. The only problem with these first 3 games is, in all cases, the Rams lost the next game, but still, at the moment, at the time, those are my number 12, 11, and 10 games. And you know what? I'm probably missing a couple. I considered including the Rams 20-0 win, I think it was, over the Cowboys. They beat the Cowboys a couple of times in the playoffs. That were really big wins. Hey, it's always sweet to beat the Cowboys in the playoffs, and the Rams have done it, I think, 5 times. And there was also a game in the late 70s. Seem to remember the Rams beating Jim Hart and the St. Louis Cardinals. Put up a 35 spot on them, I think. But these are the ones that really stick in my mind, the ones I'm talking about here. Next up, number 9, January 6th, 1980, the NFC Championship game. The Los Angeles Rams 9, the Tampa Bay Bucks 0.
When Sweet Tarts dared to combine sweet and tart, they thought, why stop there? Why not create other exciting and unexpected combinations, like rainbows and ropes, or fruity and gummy, or chewy and more chewy? That's why they created fun treats like Sweet Tarts Twisted Rainbow Ropes, Gummies Fruity Splits, and Chewy Fusions. When you dare to combine, it's sure to blow your mind. Sweet Tarts, dare to combine. Visit sweettartscandy.com to shop now.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply. USAA.
And I'm going to call this the Youngblood game. Jim Youngblood had an interception, and that time, if you're shutting out a team in the playoffs, I have a feeling Jack Youngblood had a big part in it too. We could also call it the Frank Corral game, as he scored all of the points in the game. He had field goals, get this, from 19, 21, and 23 yards. So yes, the Rams offense was knocking on the door all day long, and that was a really impressive Bucs defense. Could not get across the goal line, and actually both teams did. Both teams had touchdowns called back due to illegal procedures in that game. Colin Bryant was the offensive star for the Rams in that one, rushing for 106 yards. Number 8, can't say I remember this one. December 23rd, 1951, the NFL championship game, the Rams 24, the Browns 17. That was played at the LA Coliseum, and it was also the game, 73-yard touchdown passes show up a lot in the Rams history. Norm Van Brocklin to Tom Fears for 73 yards, the same distance Kurt Warner threw to Isaac Bruce in that Super Bowl win over the Titans, and it was also a 73-yard pass from Terry Bradshaw to John Stallworth that sunk the Rams in that first Super Bowl appearance of theirs. What else happened in that game? Deacon Dan Towler had a touchdown. Bob Waterfield kicking extra points. Lou Groza, the famous Browns kicker, had a 52-yarder in that game. Number 7, January 23rd, 2000, NFC Championship game. The Rams run into the Bucs a lot and usually prevail in the playoffs. Bucs fans must hate us. Rams 11, Bucs 6. This is my Ricky Proehl game. The Bucs and John Lynch had the greatest show on turf, stymied most of the game. But then late in the game, Kurt Warner finds Ricky Proehl in the corner of the end zone, beating John Lynch and a cornerback, and the Rams go to the Super Bowl. Holt, Bruce, Hakeem, and Falk all on that team, but it was Ricky Proehl with 6 catches for 100 yards and the Rams' only TD. And I remember that one well. You know why I remember it? Because I missed it. Had to get my son to a hockey game. Rolled in the car as long as I could. My son ran into the rink just in time to see the catch. Me, I heard it on the radio. Number 6, February 13th, 2022, the Super Bowl, the Rams 23, the Bengals 20. And it's a Super Bowl win, but I don't think this game was that momentous as far as it didn't really have that much drama. I mean, there's the play at the end there, Aaron Donald getting to Joe Burrow, but I don't think it compares to some of these other games. I'm going to call this the Cooper Kupp game, capping off a magical season. He had 92 yards and 2 TDs in that game. I could have called this the AD closeout game, the Aaron Donald closeout game, but we have one of those forthcoming. Number 5, January 20th, 2019, the NFC Championship game. In New Orleans, the Rams win in overtime 26-23, and I'm calling this the Nickel Roby-Coleman game, the Phantom PI everybody's talking about. I didn't see anything, but that left the door open for the Rams, and they managed to force overtime, and then Dante Fowler tips a Drew Brees pass, John Johnson intercepts, Greg the Leg kicks the game winner, and the Rams go to the Super Bowl. And all I'm going to say about this one is the better team won. And number 4, well, this is the game that really didn't happen, at least not in the Rams' favor. This is where I think that Eagles game would have ended up. This is where that Eagles game would be ranked if the Rams had pulled it off. It would have been Rams 29, Eagles 28, January 29th, 2022, and I would have called it the Stafford rally game. Didn't happen though. NFC divisional round, and like I said, they win that game. They're probably going to the Super Bowl for a matchup everybody would love to see, Rams versus Chiefs. But it didn't happen. If it had, it'd be number 4. Number 3, January 23rd, 2022, the NFC divisional round, Rams 30, Bucs 27. I'm going to call this the Stafford to Kupp game. The Rams were winning 27-3, but Brady and the Bucs stormed back. How painful would have that been if we had lost to that guy again in this fashion? They had a 55-yard TD pass to Mike Evans, and then they were helped along by a Cam Akers fumble. Looked like it was going to overtime, but then Stafford hits Kupp for 44 yards to the Bucs 12. Stafford spikes the ball, and Matt Gay kicks the game winner, and that led to another game coming up here in a second. And then after that, the game we already talked about, that Rams-Bengals game. And yes, number 2 on this list is the game right after that Rams-Bucs game. 1 week later, January 30th, 2022, NFC Championship, the Rams 20, the 49ers 17. And I am going to call this one the Aaron Donald closeout game. The 49ers were up 17-14 in the fourth quarter, a dropped interception by the 49ers, 2 Matt Gay field goals, and then AD flushes Jimmy G out of the pocket, throws a desperation pass, and Trevin Howard grabs it to pretty much end the game, and the Rams go to the Super Bowl. And there were a lot of big plays in that game. There was a decision by the 49ers to punt after coming up short on 3rd and short. Decisions by Kyle Shanahan that he probably regrets, but the Rams win it. Epic win for our Rams, led to a Super Bowl win. And the number 1 playoff win for the Rams all time. January 30th, 2000, the Super Bowl, the Rams 23, the Titans 16. This is the greatest show on turf game. That's what I'm going to call it, because you can really highlight 2 plays. The first one, 73 yards, as I said, Kurt Warner to Isaac Bruce, and then with the Titans rallying, trying to force overtime, or had they gone for 2, a potential win. But Mike Jones makes the game-saving tackle near the goal line, and the Rams are in celebration mode with a Super Bowl title. So that's it. Those are my top 12 playoff wins. One of them was not a win. I get it. I understand. Maybe I shouldn't include it because it's just making this a little bit more painful. Had they pulled that off, man, we'd be talking about that game for 20 years. Hey, have I left anything out? Hop on the YouTube channel if you're not already there and tell me what I missed. These are my top 12 playoff wins of all time for our Rams. Well, actually 11, and then 1 that got away. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.